In the museum, a huge fossilized dinosaur egg cracks open a gap. A pterosaur breaks out of its shell. It smashes its mouth hard. It shatters the glass and escapes. This pterosaur, the bald professor has resurrected it by ancient Egyptian magic. And by now, the professor's consciousness had become one with the pterosaur. And when the professor's consciousness left the body of the pterosaur, it broke through the roof and flew out of the museum. It flew towards the city center. It came across the car of the police chief. The chief is in his car making out with his girlfriend. The sudden appearance of the monster frightened the driver. He then fell into the water with his car. The police chief's strange murder is a matter of great concern to his superiors. The detective is ordered to investigate the matter thoroughly. Soon after, the news of the monster's attack on a high-ranking official was all over town. It took the professor a lot of effort to control the pterodactyl and fly back home. But just at that moment, the inspector came to the door. He wanted to know about the pterosaur. The professor had to hide the pterosaur behind the curtain of the door. He was about to get away with it, but the inspector insisted on eating the boiled eggs. This triggered the pterosaur's egg-guarding instincts, and now he's got them all. The frightened inspector immediately locked the professor up. Meanwhile, Adela had just returned home with the mummy when she learned of the professor's capture, so she immediately disguised herself, disguised as a lawyer. She enters the prison to discuss what to do. When they met, they realized the professor had only wanted to practice his resurrection technique while Adela was out. Instead, he had accidentally revived a billion-year-old pterosaur. But the way things are going, he should be able to revive a 4,000-year-old mummy with a minimum of fuss before they can finish their conversation. Adela was thrown out of the prison when she was identified. Afterwards, she disguises herself as different persons. She tries to get the professor out, but in the end, she all fail because of the professor's actions did result in the deaths of 3 people. In order to answer for all of them, the inspector decided to guillotine him the next day and hired a special hunter to hunt the pterosaur. As things got out of hand, Adela approached the president to ask for a pardon for the professor. Just then, the pterosaur swoops down from the roof of the house. Although Adela saved the president in time, but was thrown out by the bodyguards as a terrorist. Looking at her sister, lying motionless on the bed, she was at a loss for words. However, things soon took a turn for the better. That night she came to Pterodactyl. First she touched it gently, then she rolled onto her back and mounted the pterodactyl. Although the pterodactyl struggled a lot at first, but it soon calmed down. Then with a flap of its wings, it took her up into the sky. Meanwhile, the professor was being taken to the execution table. Suddenly, Adela came down from the sky on her pterodactyl, grabbed the professor and flew away.